Welcome to our West Orange United FC webinar series for players. My name is Coach Lou Mignone, the Director of Coaching at West Orange United FC. This module is being recorded for those players unavailable to join our live weekly Zoom sessions each Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. I hope that you and your families are healthy and safe during this COVID-19 pandemic and this period of quarantine. Our time away from the field, our teammates and coaches, and our usual day-to-day activities at school with friends and teachers places us within a setting that allows for us to spend high-quality time with our families and loved ones at home, and perhaps organize on our own various exercises that we can do on a regular basis to sharpen our control of the ball and our comfort and confidence with dribbling, running with the ball, faking, passing, receiving, redirecting, shooting, chipping, driving, and juggling. Please also connect with our Facebook page, that is West Orange United FC Facebook page, for information on upcoming events, webinars, and meetings. We will explore over the next 3 webinars the 6 key qualities of a U.S. soccer player. These qualities have been identified through U.S. Soccer, the governing body of the sport in our country. The research and development team at U.S. Soccer has spent more than a decade closely examining the American soccer player from children to adults, comparing and contrasting our learning, development, experience, and performance with players in other parts of the world. These 6 key qualities have been prioritized based on these studies to address our specific and unique developmental needs. We can certainly relate to a number of challenges we have faced and are facing during this COVID-19 pandemic relating to health concerns, in addition to awareness of the very negative impacts upon society this pandemic has had in terms of illness and even death. There is, however, some positive takeaways that we can perhaps draw from during this period of quarantine. This may simply include the spending of additional quality time with our family and loved ones. Positive experience that I'd like to share with you, in addition to enjoying and sharing each day with my wife Patty and sons Louie and Joe, the time for reflection. We associate reflection with looking into a mirror and seeing ourselves. Reflecting as a soccer coach or player allows for us to look back at our last performance to identify our strengths and our areas of needed learning. We can then formulate action steps to improve as we move forward. I look back, for instance, at my last coaching performance with a group of players. An area of strength that I identified was my ability to identify learning moments for the players within the game environment. And my use of guided questions was effective enough to stimulate thought on their part for coming up with decisions that were aimed at solving the problems within the game itself. A learning need that I identified was in the area of organizing the session itself. I initially arranged the playing area based upon my assumption that the group had access to half the field. I then had to readjust to a smaller area minutes prior to the start of the training session because I realized that our group did not have the field alone. There was a number of other teams that had arrived and needed parts of the field. My action steps that I put together included planning more effectively the day before the training session and gathering logistics to find out how much space the team that I was coaching would actually be utilizing. And this additional planning, reduced the likelihood of any last-minute confusion that I could run into. This, in turn, would provide a smoother and seamless training session for the players. Let's begin this webinar by looking back. So looking back on coaching, I show you a picture that was taken approximately in 1990 in West Orange, and that is Hazel Avenue School bottom playground. And as I look at these players, these individuals here grew to be very productive members of society, gaining success in various professions, some of whom are fathers of children that are playing the game of soccer, and a number of the individuals in that picture are helpful and very player-centered soccer coaches. I'm very happy to see that these youngsters from West Orange, through the game of soccer, were able to develop not only as players, but as individuals and adults able to solve problems through their experience at playing the game and reading and understanding things that are happening around them. So what are the qualities of a world-class player? We take a look at U.S. women's national team superstar Tobin Heath. And as we see her, we could see a number of things going on. If one of our friends who is not familiar with the game took a look at that picture, they would potentially say it looks like two women running after a soccer ball. We, as soccer players, we look at that with much greater detail. So the qualities that we could see in Tobin Heath, she's certainly using her explosive speed and strength there, as we could see her bent at the ankles, knees, waist, shoulders, elbows, taking an explosive step forward while maintaining control of the ball. The ball is under her control and not very far away from her. She is getting her body, she's positioning her body in between the opponent and the ball, protecting the ball through the use of her left foot. She's probably very aware of what's going on around her, where the opening is. It looks like she's exploiting an opening to play forward at that moment on the dribble. She's actually not dribbling, she's running with the ball, but still maintaining close contact with it. She's perhaps understanding the runs of teammates and the timing of her pass to meet them, if that's the case. It looks like she's out on the right flank of the field right now, and she's scanning forward, potentially looking down at the ball, getting ready to make contact with it to serve across. So the qualities of a world-class player have a lot to do with being able to understand all of the things that are happening around him or her. Tobin is very aware of the opponent next to her. You can see the positioning of her left arm, protecting the space around the ball and around the body. She's making her body big to prevent a tackle that would be effective in knocking the ball away from her. These are all part of the qualities that we'll explore now. So the 6 key qualities identified by U.S. Soccer. We're going to take a look at the first 2 during this webinar. They are reading and understanding the game and making decisions, and taking initiative and being proactive. Those are the 2 prioritized at the top key qualities that we're going to examine today. As we see in that picture, it's Jersey girl Carli Lloyd, FIFA World Player twice, World Player of the Year twice, representing the U.S. women's national team as our captain and number 10. And we see her on the ball there. And the question is, what is Carli reading and understanding right now? So the players that participated within this webinar came up with some really dynamic input based on their ability to read and understand moments in the game. And some of the things that were shared were Carli is very well aware of the opponent approaching in front of her to the left. She's getting her body in between the opponent and the ball. She's leaning to her left and looking to protect the space around the ball with her left arm, it looks like. She looks like she's getting ready to explode through an opening past the opponent. She's aware of the teammate that's making a run in behind her. That looks like perhaps an overlapping run. And she's scanning ahead to kind of recognize by the microsecond what's happening in front of her. What are the movement of her teammates? What are the movements of the opponent? Because her decision could change in a split second. So Carli is reading and understanding things that the best players must be able to do on their own very quickly and efficiently. And they don't have time to rely upon a coach to deliver information to them. If a coach screamed to Carli right now to do a specific thing, and Carli was relying upon that information, by the time that information traveled through the air, into her ears, into her mind to think about it, to her eyes to visualize what the coach is talking about, by the time the action was put into motion by her feet, it would be too late. Something else would be happening. So Carli has to read and understand really, really quickly and instinctively what's happening around her and how she's going to make a decision based upon that. We look in this picture at Neymar representing the men's national team of Brazil. Neymar's in yellow, wearing the number 10 on his blue shorts. And Brazil is playing against Mexico in that picture. So what decisions can Neymar make? The participation during our recent webinar allowed players to weigh in on this question. Some of the ideas that were shared were Neymar's making a decision to maybe buy himself a little time. He's getting in between the ball and the opponent, and he's allowing that delay of the opponent trying to get to the ball to allow him to take in more information about what's happening and maybe recognize something new that is occurring based upon the movement of an opponent or a teammate. Allowing oneself enough time will perhaps open up more decisions that are available to us. But he could certainly make the decision to peel off to the left with the outside of his left foot, or peel off to the right with the outside of his right foot. He can certainly step on the ball, maybe with the front of his left foot, get his body turned sideways on, and keep the opponent from getting too close to the ball. He could maybe wait until the opponent was impatiently looking to move around one or the other side of his body, and he could peel the opposite way away from the opponent. Or maybe even he just hangs on to the ball until a teammate comes closer to him that he can pass the ball and then move to receive a return pass. So many decisions available. I also forgot to mention he could certainly dribble, and by dribbling he could set up his next pass, or maybe even see an opening that he can run with the ball through. Reading and understanding the game and making decisions is key quality number 1 within U.S Soccer's 6 key qualities of a player. Marta, a superstar for the the Brazilian national team. That's wishful thinking. She's a fantastic player, very creative, and she applies knowledge of what she sees in front of her to make decisions. So Marta is scanning right now. Obviously, she is aware of the opponent behind her. The opponent is moving to Marta's left, and as you can see, Marta is keenly using the outside of her right foot to peel off to her right, taking her touch away from the opponent, making things more difficult for that opponent to steal the ball from her. So recognizing cues could simply be you seeing the movement of the teammate, and based upon the speed of that teammate's movement and where that teammate is moving towards, you could then play the next pass, not to the teammate's feet, maybe to the space in front of the teammate where the teammate is running and can meet that pass. So we recognize cues. We don't necessarily have to be told things verbally all the time. We can just recognize things around us happening, and we can respond instinctively. So those are really important qualities to develop if we want to get to the highest levels of this game. So what we see right now is Marta reading an attacking moment. So she has the ball. So when we have the ball, we are attacking. So Marta has the ball, and she recognizes a cue for her to slide to her right because she sees that opponent sneaking around her left side. She's also recognizing cues in front of her. Maybe that would dictate a pass is the most effective way to move the ball forward, or maybe she's going to turn this now into a dribble forward. She's reading and analyzing the movement of teammates, the opponent, and she's basing her decision on those changes that are constantly occurring within the game of soccer. By being able to read and understand the game, we get a good idea of where we should move and when we should move in relation to teammates, the opponent, and the ball, and also where exactly we are on the field. We align our actions based upon maybe our teammates. So if we just lost the ball and a teammate closest to that area where we lost the ball is getting pressure on the opponent with the ball, we align our action by maybe quickly getting in behind that teammate to provide cover and prevent forward moving options for the opponent. So being able to read and understand the game, we can do that really quickly and efficiently, and we can do that without being told to do that. We realize that by being told to do something and then doing it takes a few extra seconds that in the game of soccer sometimes could mean conceding a goal or not conceding a goal, or scoring a goal or not scoring a goal. These are very important detail-centric ideas to keep in mind. So what are some action steps that we can take to develop this key quality? We know that the best way to develop the key quality of reading and understanding the game and making decisions is by playing the game. And not only playing the game, but playing small-sided games where there are a lot of soccer actions happening more frequently. What I mean by that is within a small-sided game environment, when we're playing 3v3 or 4v4 or 5v5 within a smaller area, the ball is continually moving, and we are continually under pressure, and we have less time to make decisions, and we're put into an environment where we really have to think quickly. And we call soccer actions every action that you as a player have to get involved with that's based upon a decision that's based upon what you're seeing and taking in from your senses. We call that the learning cycle. So small-sided games and the game itself engage your learning cycle constantly. You're reading, in other words, you're taking in information from your senses, usually your eyes. You're seeing something, you're observing, you're reading it, right? Your mind is working now, so you're thinking about it. You are making a decision. There might be a number of decisions you can make. You're going to make one decision at that moment, and you're going to act upon it. So you're going to engage in an action. And then after that, you're going to reflect. So you're going to think about, how did that go? Did that go well? Did I like the way that worked out? And based upon that reflection, you're going to engage in something called trial and error, meaning that you're going to try things. You might make a mistake, but then you're going to fine-tune it for next time. And this process literally takes less than a second, oftentimes. So our minds are going to get really, really effective at doing this efficiently and quickly. So that is all part of reading and understanding the game and making decisions. The challenge that we have during this COVID-19 period, we're not on the field with our teammates, and we are not playing games because of our practices related to physical distancing. So what's the next best way we can develop this key quality of reading and understanding the game and making decisions? Well, the answers in our last webinar were spot on. The players during our webinar said, hey, let's watch soccer games on TV, on YouTube, high-level games, so we can watch really closely what's happening on and off the ball, and let's see if we could pick up on cues of when, perhaps, the ball is going to move from one side of the field to the other. When the right back is in trouble and can't go forward, there's a lot of opposing team players in front of him or her, and he cuts the ball back. We know what's coming next as players. The ball's probably going to go back to his goalkeeper or her center back. And that center back or goalkeeper is going to receive the ball across the front of his or her body, taking the first touch away from that side where the pressure is, and playing a driven ball to the player on the opposite side of the field, perhaps the left back, who's already anticipate that's happening and is already backing up to receive the ball, typically across the front of his or her body, taking a first touch forward into the newly created opening on the opposite side of the field. So we could recognize those moments watching a high-level game, and being familiar with those moments and those situations, we can certainly react to those ahead of time and recognize those moments before they're even occurring. If that makes sense, I will make a comparison to bring more clarity to that idea. So soccer players can tell the future. We don't mean they could tell 2 weeks into the future, but good soccer players can typically tell the future maybe 2 seconds before the future, or sometimes even 5 seconds. And this is all based on the cues that we're seeing and the familiarity we have with those moments in seeing them before. This picture is a neat picture. This is what we call an unstructured soccer environment. So we don't see cones on the ground. We don't see a coach. We don't see children designated with pennies. We don't even see shin guards or maybe even shoes on their feet. But what are the skills that are being applied here that we see? The skills that relate to reading, understanding, and making decisions are evident on the little boy that's on the ball right now. Notice his arms are outspread. He's making his body big. He's protecting the space around the ball from opponents who might want to sneak in there to steal the ball. He's looking down at the ball at the moment. He might be ready to take a touch on the ball. That's going to change direction. Looks like he's getting ready to use the inside of his foot, inside of his left foot, which is going to take him to his right. And that would make sense because that's taking a touch away from the pressure that we see. So the skills that relate to that are observational skills. We have to be able to recognize what's happening around us really, really early and not when it's too late. We shouldn't rely on other people telling us that there's pressure on us. We should already know that based upon our body shape, open to the field, and checking through scanning with our eyes to see what's happening around us. And making effective decisions comes with trial and error. We're going to make a lot of bad decisions that cause us to maybe lose the ball. But those are okay decisions because we're going to learn from those bad decisions, and engaging in trial and error, we're going to really refine our ability to make effective decisions. So that's a great little environment there. Notice that the players don't have pennies. How does he know who's on his team? He's got to be extra aware of his surroundings. So as we see Andrew Robertson in red, he just intercepted a pass that was played to the teammate in black with the number 8 on his shorts. So what helped Andrew Robertson intercept that pass? So he was proactive. He didn't react to that opponent receiving the ball He was proactive. He anticipated that ball being played to his opponent. And by reading the visual cue of the passer, he was able to predict that that pass was going to the opponent nearest to him. And instead of waiting until the opponent received the ball for him to pressure the opponent, he was proactive. He took initiative to read that pass early and step in to intercept the ball before it arrived on the opponent's foot. As we see in this picture, this is Kylian Mbappe, World Cup winner with the national team of France. So we see Kylian Mbappe now showing some ideas that we refer to as taking initiative and being proactive. Kylian Mbappe on the ball right now. He's looking straight ahead and he sees an opening. There's no doubt about it. He sees an opening because he's not dribbling there. He is running with the ball. We see him taking a big step. We see his body, the way it's shaped up. That's a powerful movement right there, moving the ball forward quickly. So he's being proactive. He sees an opening and he's taking advantage of that opening very quickly. What happens in the game of soccer if we see an opening and we either ignore it or hesitate and we don't take advantage of that opening right away? We're not proactive. We're not taking initiative. How long does that opening stay open for us? Typically, we have that opportunity available maybe a second or two. So he sees it, and instinctively he's exploding into that opening very quickly. So somebody that takes initiative and is proactive, they create opportunities instead of just simply reacting. He's creating an opportunity now. By you recognizing an opening and exploding forward on the run with the ball, you're creating an opportunity now for your team to penetrate the opponent and to maybe create a scoring chance. You confront situations. So when you look at Kylian Mbappe right there, there's a situation, he has an opening, he only has it for a couple of seconds, and he also realizes by zipping through that opening, he's going to get a reaction from the opposing team. He's going to get a lot of pressure on him at that point. But he doesn't mind. He's confronting that situation and he's looking to take full advantage of that opening at that moment. He's ready to challenge opponents. There's no doubt in my mind that on the run with the ball, if he's confronted, he's not going to panic and turn around and go the other way. He's going to look to challenge them. He's going to look to beat them 1v1. What are some of the action steps to develop this key quality? Well, we know developing this key quality, we must be in the game environment. In order to be proactive and to take initiative on things that we're seeing in the game, we need to be in the game. In order to confront opportunities that pop up, we need to be in the game environment where these opportunities pop up unexpectedly, right? And we need to be able to recognize them early and take immediate action to challenge opponents, to confront these situations. When we're not on the field, which due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we're quarantined. We can't be on the field with our team and our friends and our coaches. The next best way to do this, and this was mentioned by pretty much everybody in our last webinar, the next best way to do this is by really watching the game carefully, not as a fan cheering for a team, but watching very, very carefully and with a lot of detail, paying close attention to the detail on players when they are taking initiative, when they are going from a walk to a sprint, when they're going from a jog to a sudden change of direction and a sprint to create an opportunity for an opening or maybe even a chance of scoring. So the best way to recognize these moments, if we can't be in the game ourselves, we can watch a high-level game on TV or perhaps YouTube to kind of pick out those moments and become familiar with those moments so that when we return to the field, we can engage in that same trial and error of making those decisions taking initiative and being proactive. And if we don't succeed, that's fine. We can reflect upon it. We could come up with ideas how we're going to make it better next time. And we could try it again when the moment is right. So take a look at these two girls that are playing. It looks like they're playing in they're certainly playing on a hard surface, concrete type of surface. Looks like a playground that's fenced in with a wall around it. So what skills do you see in that picture related to being proactive? So think about that, and I'll share with you what the players said in our last webinar about what they see as being proactive, as somebody that's taking initiative. Well, as we could see, the ball is in the air. It's not under control. And the player that is receiving that ball or looking to receive that ball also realizes that an opponent is trying to get on that ball as well. And she certainly is not looking at that opponent. She's looking at the ball because it looks like she wants to maybe get the ball with, looks like maybe her right laces. She wants to bring the ball under control with her right laces. And if you notice her right foot, it's furthest away from the opponent. And it's the safer foot for her to use right now to get the ball under control because the opponent would not be able to reach it. She's also doing something with her left leg, her left hip, and her left arm, her forearm. She's using that to shield the opponent away from the ball. She's creating that distance from the opponent and the ball, and she's doing this in a proactive way. She's not waiting until the opponent sneaks around her to worry about doing that. She's doing that ahead of time before the ball is even under her control. The ball is on the way to her, and she's already taking the initiative to protect the ball as it arrives. So really neat picture. Sometimes we say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but we as soccer players can look at that and really get an idea of what taking initiative and being proactive is all about. That girl looks like maybe a teenager, does not even have the ball under control yet, but is planning now to protect that ball even before it's on her foot. So she's really being proactive, recognizing what the future holds if she does not do that. So I'd like to open this up to questions, and although this is a recorded webinar, you are more than welcome to leave questions in the comments section, and I will respond to them as soon as I can. But I hope that you enjoyed this webinar. Please remember that the live Zoom webinars occur each Tuesday at 4 o'clock p.m. Those are the webinars for, Thursday at 4 o'clock p.m. Those are the webinars for players. And Tuesdays at 7 o'clock p.m. are webinars for parents. So Thursdays, 4 o'clock p.m. for players, and Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. for parents. And don't forget to check out our West Orange United FC Facebook page for information on any upcoming events, webinars, meetings, or announcements. That is West Orange United FC Facebook page. So this is Coach Lou Mignone signing out for now. I hope this was meaningful for your needs, and I look forward to our next webinar. Thank you.